both to will and to do your good pleasure. Take all the glory and honor. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. My job this morning is very simple, and we are going to look at the book of Matthew, chapter 18 and verse 20. Everything God tells us to do is very easy, but lack of knowledge makes it impossible or difficult. But He has given us the technology and intelligence on how to do it. And in Matthew 18 verse 20, where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. So, we are talking about church planting medicine. Pastor was talking yesterday that there are prayer teams or prayer departments, music departments, and so on and so forth. But as a Christian, you don't leave prayer for only the prayer department. You don't do that. You don't leave worship for only the worship department. And in the same way, you don't leave soul winning or evangelism only for the evangelism department. And you don't leave church planting only for the church planting department or only for the pastors. Every one of us has responsibility to that, because there are benefits and blessings that are embedded in them. Any one of them that is lacking, for example, prayer or worship, if you leave it for the people and say, when pray for me and you don't pray, worship for me and you don't worship, give for me and you don't give, you will be lacking. You are a Christian, but you will be suffering. It will be affecting your Christian life. The same way, when you come for soul winning, you leave it for some people, win the souls. When it comes for church planting, you leave it for some people. There are things you will be lacking. But God wants to correct and help us, that every one of us, that's why this conference is all about. Equipping the saints for the work of the ministry. So, in this Matthew chapter 18, verse 20, for where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Jesus is talking. One cardinal thing in this place is that 2 or 3 people gather. But how do they gather? Who gathers them? And that's number one thing. Who does this gathering? Because Jesus said, if you don't gather with me, you scatter. If you are not gathering with me, you are scattering. In the book of Revelation chapter 1 and even in chapter 5, and even in the book of Peter, the Lord makes us to understand that He has redeemed us from all nations and made us a priest and a king to His God, and we shall reign on earth. Every child of God is a priest. Every one of us, we are priests. And priests, we have responsibility. And one of our responsibilities are not only in intercession or worship or sacrifice, but if you go to Malachi chapter 2 and verse 7, Malachi chapter 2 and verse 7, it says, give us in NIV, please, or in another translation. Yes. For the lips of a priest ought to preserve knowledge, because he is the messenger of the Lord Almighty, and people seek instruction from his mouth. Priests are teachers, And every teacher must have a class. And that's why Jesus is talking about gathering people to teach them. Daniel chapter 12 and verse 3. Daniel chapter 12 and verse 3. Give us in good news. Daniel chapter 12 verse 3. In good news. Now, the wise leaders will shine with all the brightness of the sky, and those who have taught many people to do what is right will shine like the stars forever. Brethren, righteousness is taught. And God is saying that those people who will gather people to teach them righteousness, that there is a blessing for them. One of the errors of any generation or any nation, if you go to 2 Chronicles chapter 15 verse 3, you will see it. A time came in Israel, according to the prophet Azariah, that there was no true God, nor a teaching priest. For a long time, Israel lived without the true God, and without a teaching priest, and without law. So you now see all these evils, unrighteousness, people behaving anyhow they like, and sinning against God is because there are no priests. Many of us have left it only for the pastor on the pulpit. How many, look at our population here, and even the population that may be watching online. Compare it with the population of people outside. If this job is left only for Pastor David, or for the few pastors here, how far can that go? But you are a priest. The Lord has made it so. And it is our duty to teach our people righteousness. And God in Matthew chapter 18 verse 20 had made it very simple. You know where? After the night of glory, I called up someone and said, can you gather such a crowd, thousands of people that came for night of glory? He said he could not. But Pastor David did that. He has the capacity. But God has made it. You don't wait until you grow to that capacity. God, I will teach, but I need 1,000, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 people to gather. He had made it very simple. He said, where two or three are gathered together in my name, I am there. Even Pastor tells us, he didn't start gathering in thousands. It was in this Enugu, just about few people, 5 people, in a parlor, in a living room, in a sitting room, that this whole Dominion city started. It started small. And that's what the Lord is telling us. If you go to Zechariah chapter 4 verse 12, he said, don't despise the day of little beginning. We are 2 or 3. And I asked the young man, can you gather 2 or 3 people? He said, yes. So you now see, if God can attend a meeting of night of glory, where thousands of people will gather, and he will work miracles and save sinners, forgive sins, and heal the sick, and do all manner of miracles. He said, if you gather 2 or 3 people, what I did amongst thousands, I will do among the 2. He makes it so simple that nobody will give an excuse. Nobody will say, I cannot. Start there. Hey, the whole of whatever we know of Christianity in Nigeria started in Badagry in 1842 under a tree with 5 people. The white men that came from Europe, it was under that tree with just 5 people. In 1842, look at the population now. And the Bible's records in that Matthew 18 verse 20. You see now, the population doesn't matter to God. 2 or 3. And can I say, the personality doesn't matter to God. It can be females, it can be males, it can be children, it can be youths, it can be adults. They don't matter to God. The ones if it is children, you can gather the children for God. Pastor tells us, at the age of 12, he gave his life to Christ. Can you imagine a child of 12 years? Some of us, he can't give offering now. He can't give tithes. But that teacher had faith and gathered these children and was speaking to them. And in that place, he gave his life to Christ. And brethren, do you know, because we have been neglecting some of these children, devil has been using them. We heard of one that called some of our friends and they killed a professor, somebody she was living with. A child of less than 13 years. Do you know the secrets of the Roman Catholicism? That say, give me a child at 4, take him at 7, he will be a Catholic forever. From childhood. Timothy, we are talking about. If it is children that is your own passion, gather them for God. If they are the ones close to you, gather them for God. Don't neglect them. Don't say, no, these are not the ones that we are talking about. Do you know that even at a point, parents, mothers were bringing their children to Jesus. And the disciples, the apostles, they were hindering them. And that was one of the places Jesus was so mad and rebuked them and said, stop that. Don't hinder these children to come to me. Because for such, the kingdom of God exists. If it is youths, gather the youths. In your campus, in your school, gather them. Anywhere you are. When pastor, even when he was in secondary school, he was gathering people. He started a fellowship. I met a policeman who was one of those people in that. And he told me that he was one of the people in that fellowship, in that secondary school. These things are not cock and bull stories. They are not made up stories. From secondary school, as a junior student, he was gathering his fellow students. In the university, he was gathering his fellow students. Now, if it is adults, no matter the class of the people, it doesn't matter to God. Somebody was telling me that, Reverend, I have tried this church planting, but I'm not getting the kind of quality of people I want. That the people that are coming, and he's sounding very discouraged. I said, which kind of people? He saw these mega people, mania workers, these women, and, it's not the caliber of people. I say, a soul is a soul. Whether the soul of a politician, whether the soul of an artisan, whether it's the soul of a job man, whether the soul of a cleaner, whether the soul of anybody, God is making it that it will be easy. If it is all these called jobless people, Jambites, if it is mania workers, if they are artisans, if they are truck pushers, if they are the Wakanda people that are gather them for the law, it doesn't matter. If they are politicians, if they are kings, if they are businessmen, if they are teachers, if they are lawyers, professionals. What happened with Cornelius we read about in Acts chapter 10? When Peter was to come, he gathered with his family and his friends. So, start even with your family. Where you are, somebody was telling me in UK, I was asking, where do you worship? He said, he travels over 12 hours to attend a church. I said, wonderful. He said, so it makes it difficult for him to go often. I say, that place where you are, what is it? Start with your family. There are many churches that started with the husband and wife. And I am happy with many stories I am hearing across. Starting with husband and wife. Next, somebody who came to live with them joined. Next, you now start friends. Your friend, the friend of your wife, the friend of your children, the friend and so on. You are neighbors. God is making this thing so simple and easy so that nobody will have an excuse. Another important thing here is that where two or three, the place does not matter. Look at us in this beautiful auditorium. God is here. The money could be afforded to fix it to this extent. But the whole Dominion City pastor says started in somebody's parlor. Was there any AC there? No AC. Any PA system? No PA system. No piano, no keyboard, no band, no singer. But it started. And today, look at what the Lord is doing all over the world. If he has waited until he could hire a hall, because that's one of the challenges. Yes, Pastor, I have made up my mind to plant church. And I have went out.
Our band in those days is our hand. We used to clap it.
And God was doing mighty things. And people were coming. And you see, when God is giving the criteria for the dressing of a priest, he said you will not wear a wool that will make you to sweat. Anything that makes you to sweat in ministry is not of God. All this sweating and suffering is because I am laboring for God. I know. This thing is sweet. Enjoy the ministry and the mission of God. Enjoy the church planting. Allow yourself and God to grow. Allow the ministry, the work to grow. Some people will go and bring a budget. We have found a hall in a hotel. I mean, that is where it's going to be. It is in the center of the town or in the center of the city. And we will put a budget of how many hundreds of thousands every 1 hour. And the PA system, we are going to hire the pianist. We are going to hire this. At the end of it, excuse me, if you are spending 1 million to plant a church, how many villages you can imagine in Enugu State? How many villages in the whole of Igbo land? How many villages in the whole of Nigeria? How many villages and cities in the whole of Africa, in the whole of Asia? Where are you going to get all the money? And I know you know that the Christianity we know today, the first church building started after 300 years of existence of the church. any cathedral that Peter built. Tell me the one that Paul had. And in the Acts of the Apostles, they were moving from house to house. They did a crusade that gathered 3,000 people. After the crusade, those crusade 3,000 people, do you think they were the ones coming to people's home? They broke themselves, breaking bread, house to house. When the Holy Ghost fell, in which cathedral did it fall on the day of Pentecost? Which building? Which cathedral? In somebody's house. You have where you live. Can I tell us? God in his infinite mercy has shown us example. In Genesis, he started the first church. And it was in a garden. And he started with one person. And the number increased to 2. And God was coming down, showing us an example. Anybody can do this. It is very easy. Where was God coming for fellowship and church? With Eve. That place where he lived. He didn't export him to heaven. It was in that garden. Can I tell you? Wherever you live, make a church there. In that neighborhood. Even if it is in one room you are living. Even use the corridor. If you can, even in that your room, in your parlor, there are a lot of churches we have started. While I was in Togo, in the corridor, but today, those churches have become mega. In Abuja, we wanted to start a church somewhere. When we came, rain started falling. And the brethren was like, demon has, I said there's no demon. God has given us another technology. My car is there. We went into the car and we read this Matthew 18 verse 20. I said, church have started. Today, not up to 1 year and that church has gotten the evangelists. They now rent a place. They now have a church. They now have a school. And they have planted another church. A church that started in a car. The place doesn't matter. If you can afford a hotel, whatever, very good. But don't sweat because of it. If you can afford a hall of this, good, but don't sweat. If it's under the tree, if it is in the classroom, if it is in your own hostel, if it is along the road, oh my God. Melchizedek, when he met Abraham, and he gave him communion, prayed for him, and God answered that, and Abraham gave tithes and offering. Which building that thing happened? It was along the road. Philip, an Ethiopian eunuch, the church was in his chariot, in his car. Just 2 people. That God told him, go. You never can tell what that person you gather in your room, that person you gather in the classroom, that person you gather in the office, that person you gather on the corridor, that person you gather anywhere. You never can tell what can become of that person tomorrow. You never can tell what can become of that church tomorrow. The place doesn't matter. Can I say it again? It doesn't matter. And the period doesn't matter. You want it in the morning, or in the afternoon, or in the night, God will show up. Whether on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, or Thursday, or Friday, or Saturday, or Sunday, God will show up. Look at us now. Since Thursday, has God been showing up here or not? Why didn't God say, no, it's on Sunday? In the morning we come here. 6 a.m. prayer. Many miss something because of that prayer. If you meet that, God was here. It is in God made it so simple that it is in your hand. If you want it 10 minutes, if you want it 30, you want it 1 hour, you want it 2 hours, if you want it all night, he doesn't sleep, he doesn't slumber. Lord, here I am, myself I give, my talent, time, silver and gold. Father, use me to build your church, to show your praise amongst all men. A time like this, God looks for men, worthy vessels that He will use to accomplish His great purpose and make His kingdom widely known. Hey. Lord, here I am, myself I give, my talent, time, silver and gold. Father, use me to build your church, to show your praise amongst all men. Hey. A time like this, God help me hear your thundering voice and to obey. We are son of faith, others have scorned. Lord, help me stand, whatever the cost. Lord, here I am, myself I give, my talent, time, silver and gold. Father, use me to build your church, to show your praise amongst all. Brethren, this is very easy. You can do it. Can you raise your hand and say, I can do it? Shout it louder, I can do it. Say it, I will do it. Shout it louder, I will do it. How do we know the places that we need to plant church? Thank God for the maps. Pastors say you can't do mission without map. William Carey said, if you want to know the will of God in mission, open your Bible. It will give you passion for mission. And open the map. It will show you where you are and where you need to go. Get the map of the locality where you are. Get the map of the community where you are. Get the population. God is not talking of the people inside only. He's talking of the people outside. Jesus said, I have not come to call those the saints inside. I am out. That our church is seated 1,000. What of the thousands outside? 10,000. What of the thousands outside? 100,000. What of the thousands outside? How can you be on campus and you are okay with a population of 100 people in your fellowship? A population of 1,000 where there are thousands of students. Who do you leave it for? I wish on a Sunday, when the service may be going on, sneak out and drive around the city and town and village. You will be shocked. boys, girls, children along the streets, playing football, doing one thing or the other. Hey! And it is time to go where the sinners are. Get the map of your city. You can download it from the internet. Get the population. National Population Commission can give it to you. So you can get it so that you will see and you will be on fire. I said, how can I be okay? Look at the population of people in my city. Look at the population of people in my town. And look at our number in the church. Who am I leaving those people for? Everybody deserves to hear the gospel very well. The choice will be on that person's hand. And you think people have alternative. Thank God there are internet. Watch what people are listening to in the so-called churches. Go to some of the churches and hear what they are hearing. And you will say, is this what is called the gospel? They say that evil continues when the good people don't do anything. You can pay your local government. You can pay your state whatever. Those who are in charge, they have these maps. They have the streets. You can get it. I have paid a lot in Abuja to get the maps. I use connection to get it. Where they are not accessible. In a village where I am now, the town, they are not in the internet. They are not on the map. We commission our people, and the media can help us. They went around the village and took every road, every building, naming them. And that is the strategy. Do it for God. Map your area. What do we do? You can down our portion. Why can't there be church here? Look at it. Why should people be traveling from 2 hours? If there is a problem of road accident, so they can't come to church. During rain, they can't come to church. During whatever, they can't come to church. Make it easy and accessible for people. Why should it be only one fellowship in the campus? Why? Why should it be only 2 or 3 of this C in the campus? Why? Which hall can contain? Look at the harvest. Who are you waiting for? From neighborhood to neighborhood, from village to village, from community to community, from city to city. Even if you are watching outside Nigeria, wherever you are, why can't you do something? Who are you waiting for? Start a church, gather 2 or 3 where you are, and send information. Let's know. God has given a fresh target for this year coming. Thousands of churches that will be started all over the nations. In Africa, in Asia, in Europe, in UK, in America, in Australia, in Caribbean, all over the world. Be part of that. Thousands. Because the time is short. We need speed to recover. And can I encourage us? Brethren, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. Don't allow yourself to be idle. Devil will prey on you. He will give you a job. That's where you will begin to have envy, jealous, backbiting, gossip, and all the rest of them. And any pastor that wants his church to be saved, don't allow any member of your church to be idle. Therefore, we give you a walk, and you will regret it. There is no church I have pastored that has given a headache. You know why? When God told me this, you are pastor's warding, you are people's warding, you are in the PCC, you must be in church planting. So that you will know what I am facing. Is it when you have gone for soul winning, you have planted a church, you have planted a cell, and you are handling matters there, you will come to give me my own problem. These things are strategic. Don't be idle. And don't allow anybody to be idle in your church. It's a risk. How do you do it? Thank God for the prophetic tools. And I didn't know whether you noticed in Jeremiah chapter 1, where he was saying, yes, I have made you these to the nations, and so on. He says that we will plant. Prophetically begin to plant churches. I plant church in this village. I plant in this street. I plant church in this city. I plant church in this nation. I plant church in this campus. I plant church in this hospital. I plant church in this school. Prophetically, I begin to declare it. Even in Psalm 2 and verse 7, 8, it says, today I have begotten you. You are my son, and today is your birthday. Ask of me, nations, for an inheritance, and continents for your possession. Begin in prayer. Fast about it. Oh. Ask that you want by them. Ask even P. Oh. What kind of prayer were you praying in those days? Fast and pray. God, give me church. I plant a church in this street. I plant 10 churches in this city. 20 churches, 100 churches. 1,000. Begin to declare it fast. Pray over it. Walk around. As I say, all those roads you see, they have pastors, two people. This is your road. Every week, you come for evaluation. How far did you go? You will pray along it. You will go from the house to house. And God will give you a place where you are going to stay and gather people. Some of them are not even Anglicans. Today, I have baptized a lot of people, families who were not. Proceeds of those church plants, proceeds of those, have a target. This year, coming 2024, I am going to plant this number of churches, this number of house sales. I'm going to plant it. I'm going to do it. Let it be part of the goals. Don't only be a child of thinking what God will do for me, what God will do for me. What will I do for God? Balance it up. What I will do for God. Hey. And brethren, our God is a great rewarder. I want to show you just a few things. I am an Anglican priest by the grace of God. But what changed my whole perspective? Somebody was asking me, why is it you are going all over the nations planting churches in the name of Anglican? It's not your ministry. I showed him what God showed me. 2011, Colossians chapter 3, verse 23 and 24. Whatever you do it with all your heart, as to the Lord and not unto men. God said to me, told me, Oliver, do this as you are doing it for the Lord, not for any bishop, not for any primate, not for anything. Do it for me. He said, knowing that the Lord, you shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for you serve the Lord Christ. Brethren, I am bold to tell you today, God is a rewarder. I say God is a rewarder. He told me again in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and 58. That one scattered my brain because I said, even if others are dodging, that's what, where others have come, they don't want to go, they don't want to do, I will show up. Therefore, my beloved brethren, I need another translation that brings my beloved sisters and brothers, because this thing is not only for brothers. Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, so a brother can plant a church, a sister can plant a church, you can plant stand firm. Let nothing move you. People can talk whatever they want. It's because of this. It's because of that. Eye service. Let it not move you. Stand firm. Always give yourself fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. I said, even if all the clergymen and Anglicans, they abscond, I am here. I will receive the reward. I'm telling you the truth. Whoever that labors will be rewarded. Whoever that labors will be rewarded. Brethren, all these beggarly prayers, oh, thank God for what God is doing here. Prayer of begging has its own place. Our God is a merciful God. You can beg him, God, do this, he will do, out of mercy. But there is a reward, not based on mercy, but on your labor, on your work. God is a rewarder. Don't depend only on that mercy. It cannot carry you far. And that's why we are reading about all these charity works and so on and so forth. God is talking about inheritance. Let me show you. In the book of Exodus chapter 23. If you read, that is where you see angels. As you go on this assignment, angels will back you up. You want to, this thing P is talking about, angels will walk with us in the next year. He says, he was walking with them as they were going, not as they sat down. Not when you are sitting down. Not when you are relaxing. Not when you are at ease in Zion. When you are walking, he is walking. Look at verse 25. Somebody called me and said, the issue they have in pregnancy, barren, and miscarriage, and so on and so forth. I said, and you have been listening to messages like this. You have been begging prayer. It has not worked. And you are getting frustrated. Look at this, balance it. You shall serve the Lord your God. Not that you will just beg the Lord your God. But do what? Serve. And what is he going to do as the reward? He will bless your bread and your water. I will take sickness away from the midst of you. 26. No one shall suffer miscarriage or be barren in your land. I will fulfill the number of your... Excuse me. Workers normally go on strike. Why? Because they were old. Tell me anybody that is a beggar that goes on strike. Are you owing him? If he goes on strike, you are old. But this person said, I have worked and you have not paid me. Pay me. There is a prayer that will now go. When you are reminding God, oh, you remember Hezekiah. When a prophet, Isaiah, came and told him, your time is up. Put your house in order, you will die. He turned his face and said, God, is that how you do? After all I have done for you, you want to reward me? The number of my years, long life, you promised. You want to cut my life short. God says it is true. Isaiah, go back. I am adding more years. Can you do something? Because evil days will come. That's what we have been hearing dear. You don't know when, you don't know how. But when it comes, you will say, God, remember. Nehemiah said, God, remember me. Remember my generations. Why is it that you are blind over this? Job chapter 36, verse 11. You see, anything, when we are talking of covenant, it's not just a mere words. Prayer is good, but listen, if you do, you will be, and brethren, you see why the frustration, some people say God doesn't answer prayer. And any pastor that doesn't allow his person to be involved in this, you are hindering them. And they will be frustrated and frustrate you. Because they say prayer has not been answered. He has fasted, he has prayed, he has done all these things. But serve. Plant a thought. Show God an evidence. Show God an evidence. Plant a self. Show God an evidence. If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity. You see, oh my God. Thank God we are here to enter the year 2024. No matter what people are prophesying the hardship of 2024, look at the antidote. This will be that, that will be, and so on and so forth. Look at it. 2 or 3, gather them for the Lord. Gather here, gather there, gather there. And their years, they will spend in pleasures. Brethren, when God spoke to me about this inheritance, he talked about in Colossians chapter 3, verse 24. He reminded me of Abraham. It was in that Togo in August of 2011. He said, my son, if you are faithful to do this, to plant these churches, champion it all over the nations of the earth, I will put you in that line of Abraham. The blessings of Abraham will flow into your life and to your generations upon generations. If you know where we came in Togo, in the middle, in the northern Togo, Kara. And people were wondering, how can these children, when they go to school, how can they cope? How can they, if you want to be a missionary, go. If your wife wants to follow you, follow. But they don't allow children and bring them into that. God said, don't worry. You see these children, if you obey me, you will see they will be the best of the best. Their portions and their blessing, they will never miss it. But I wish you can understand. It's not a thing that runneth, it's not a thing that is of the Lord. If you know what is there, stop doing this as if you are doing it for a man. Don't allow your wife to stop you. Don't allow your husband to stop you. Don't allow any pastor to stop you. Don't allow any friend to stop you. Don't allow any brother or sister to stop you. Don't allow your children to stop you. Because if they stop you, they're stopping your inheritance. Not just a salary, not just something. Which government, which work can pay you, and after you are dead, they will pay your children? and bear your children's children. Which work? And has a guarantee and a covenant. Stand on your feet.